All right, so we're live, finally live on the first episode of the Startup Corner podcast with friends. So today we're joined by Anton, and in this first episode, Anton will talk to us about his startup. He is the creator of Hello Clerk and the Invoices for Jira app, a beautiful application, very useful, integrates really well with Jira, and it, as you probably can see from these slides, has a really nice, clean feel, UI, and experience to it. So today, Anton will talk to us a bit about how he got started and how he built all of this mostly on his own. So let's get into it. Hey, Anton. Thanks for
Hi,
joining me.
hi, Biro. Hi, everybody. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be your first guest at Startup Corner.
And it's a pleasure to have you as well. And my oh my, what an awesome setup you have there. I'm a bit jealous with your lighting positioning and
Yeah,
all of that
thanks.
stuff.
Thanks. Yeah, it's actually my old hobby, photography, that I start doing again after maybe 10 years of not doing any photo by normal camera. Yeah.
That's cool. We were talking on the on the green room before entering the session about this. Actually, I'm quite passionate about that as well. And actually, a few years ago, I was doing cinematography, and I've learned quite a bit about lighting and cameras and such.
Yeah.
I did have to relearn a lot now, like 5 years coming back to it, all of the gear, all of the cameras, because they've changed in 5 years.
Yes, same here. Now we have much better equipment to play with. A lot of LED panels, lights, so it's very interesting, very creative, and yeah.
Yeah, like you can see a lot of LEDs and panels and such.
Yeah.
So what's your I'm curious, what's your background, Anton? What you've been a product, technical?
So I have around 20 years experience in IT. All of the time I worked as employee in service companies. So I had a lot of time to play with different technologies and even with different fields. So I did backend development, front end development. Then I switched to interface design. I also did motion design, a little bit of sound design, 3D design. And why I start playing with all of this? Probably the reason is that I started with one technology, which is Macromedia Flash or Adobe Flash. Maybe you know that crazy animations.
I used to build websites in Flash as well
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yes. So working with this technology, you can do a programming, which it has a very mature programming language. You can do UX UI design when you design the application. You can play with motion and sound design. So you can constantly switch between these tasks if you want. So I never got bored working with Flash, and I like this flow, and I just keep doing the similar when I switched to mostly by doing the design job. From time to time I came back to development, did some backend, some front end, etc.
And were you disappointed when Flash was killed?
Maybe a little bit, but actually, when it was killed, I for a few years I already switched to working as UX and UI designer, and I started working with Flash at all. So it was not a tragedy for me.
Yeah, likewise. I think by the time Flash websites wasn't a thing anymore, I was already doing PHP, MySQL, HTML, CSS, and such. So
Yeah.
So we preempted that a bit. And before starting Hello Clerk, what were you working full time? Were you doing freelancer? Did you have a different company?
Yeah, actually, all the time, almost 20 years. The first period I worked as a freelancer, then I worked pretty much time in one company, and then around 10 years in another company. So I actually didn't switch companies a lot, and most of the time I worked as employee full time. But all the time I always wanted to create some products, to create something by myself. And that desire was all the time, because if I stopped doing some side project, I got bored, and it was very hard for me not to do something by myself.
Yeah, I think a lot of us that start businesses, entrepreneurs, founders, however you want to call us, have this kind of desire, this drive
Yeah.
to create stuff. And so I suppose you had a bit of a limitation where you were working in expressing yourself in absolutely every um, possible way, right? So that's what the reason
Yeah,
why probably driven you to start side projects.
yeah, but actually the companies I worked at, they gave a lot of freedom. So they even had their own some small products where you can be a product owner, where can you design things. But I also have a desire to build something by myself, probably because of the freedom, because I like that you can do almost anything you want. And so maybe that was the main reason why I wanted to build something by myself, completely by myself.
Right. Okay. Right. So that was your catalyst, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and when did you take that decision? When was this?
To switch working full time, or to start working on Clerk Invoices.
To start working on so tell me about first, because I'm interested in both. When did you decide, okay, I'm gonna start building this app in parallel while working, and then when did you decided to make the full switch?
So I had a big period when I did not do any side projects. So it was pretty boring for me. And I started thinking about the next idea that I can take into work. And I had experience with invoicing from Jira, because that was partially my responsibility when as employee. And I see the big pain in this. You need to manually export all the time reports. You need to attach them to invoices, which you need to craft somewhere in other tool, and you need to copy paste the things. So actually, it was just the next idea that I have found, and I started working on it on the evenings after the main job. And when I start working on it full time is when I got funded actually from Atlassian. So that allowed me to switch full time on this product.
Mm. Yeah, and you and I were on a panel
Yeah,
recently with
yeah,
Lucy talking about that. That makes sense. Well, and I feel that was a big help as well.
yeah.
So your product is, I call it a class of design and function, and people that use it love it. They fall in love with it immediately. I've seen products like this before. We have products like this. I must admit, not all of them, but we do have products where people kind of like fall in love. They use it and as, this is so straightforward, simple, and useful. Um, and I'm curious, what was your, if you can talk to me about your research process, and basically how did you get to build such a good product, basically?
Thank you. Okay, so I can separate the research process maybe into three big steps. So first, you need to understand the pain, what pain your target audience have. Then you need to find a solution, and the third step is you need to validate that solution. At the first step, to understand and to feel the pain, the best way would be if you feel the pain by yourself. That was my case. But if you don't, if this is not your pain, you can make a lot of interviews you can with target audience, you can go to the field and see how people facing with these problems, with these tasks, and get understanding. And I used one framework, one technique that helped me to understand the pain and the scenarios better. I use some kind of customer journey map. This is the process when you describe in detail, step by step, how people are facing with this pain, what goes before, what steps do they have. For example, for the invoicing, they first need to check if all time was logged by the team in Jira. Then they need to see if the time log doesn't look suspicious, etc., etc. And I described this scenario in pretty much details, and that helps me to feel this context, to feel these scenarios. And next step is to find a solution. Here I used the framework which is called jobs to be done. It's invented by Intercom. You can read about it in their blog, intercom.io. And here I put a list of jobs that I have found during the customer journey map that I did before. I have created a table, and for each job I have specified what is the goal, what goal people have, what motivates them to do this, and what result do they have. And I have created a separate column which is called emotions. So what do they feel? Are they worried? Are they happy? Are they satisfied, etc.? And this table, when I created it, a list of these jobs, so it really helps to start thinking about the features that you are going to implement in your MVP, in the first version. So this way we can find a solution. So what we want to build, what the product will do. And I try to be as minimalistic as possible, because taking a lot of things in the first release kills a lot of startups. So you need to launch fast, validate your ideas very quickly, etc. But even before doing the development, it's better to validate your idea that you have found. And this is for this I have step number 3. I went a little bit more complex way. I have created an interactive wireframe. I have designed maybe a few screens as a static images, linked them by links, and shown to few people that do invoicing in service companies, and get their feedback. And the feedback was positive, so I was really happy and decided to go next and to start the development. But later I have found very interesting trick how you can validate your ideas even cheaper and even faster, even better. It's called so-called LinkedIn test. You can in LinkedIn you can find maybe a few dozens of people from your target audience, and you can start selling them like you would sell the real product if you already have it done. And there is one important point. So when you ask people, would you buy this product, would you use this product, and if they tell yes, it means nothing, absolutely nothing, because it doesn't correlate with the fact if they buy or they use or if they use the real product when it is ready. So I think you should never ask these questions to people, but instead they should pay something so actually, yes, they need to pay something, and if you see that they are ready to pay, it means that they are interested. And since you don't have product, there is nothing to pay for. You can ask to pay them by their time. And in this LinkedIn test, you can suggest, for example, to have a quick call and to make a demo of the product, and see how many people would like to spend their, I don't know, 20 minutes of their life. If you will have a lot of such people, you can even don't reply to this message, but you will see, if you see the good conversion from people who you started talking with to people who want to make a live call, a live demo, this is a good sign, and that means that you can move on with the idea. So So actually, this I did a very simple research process. If you want to make it more complex, you can create you can create interactive prototype, test it on real people, record all their thoughts, all their concerns. This is how we do for our products, our clients when I worked on products when I was employee. But I tried to be more lean and more fast with my startup.
It's important, isn't it? Especially in the early days, it's important to be as efficient as possible. And
Yeah.
if you spend a month in creating some interactive UI mockups, then that's not extremely. But at the beginning, you understand that everyone understands that the MVP needs to have a bit of that. Nikki says, I love the design of Hello Clerk apps. UI is very clean.
Yeah.
Then LinkedIn test idea is great idea. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, we're probably gonna try that. That's very interesting. I've not heard of that, to be honest. So I think that's an interesting. I'll put it in the category of growth hacks.
Yeah. And for LinkedIn test, you can even buy a premium account for 1 month. It will not cost you a lot, but it will give you ability to message everybody without connecting with them. So it's another thing that you can use if you will do the LinkedIn test.
Yeah, I use a premium account as well. I'm curious, what did you actually use when you were creating the MVP? What did you use for interactive UI mockups? What tool?
I used InVision because at that time I worked with it a lot, InVisionApp.com, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I know it.
But you can actually use any tool you want. It just gives you ability to quickly link screens between each other by links. So there are a lot of tools on the market.
Yeah. No, the InVision it's good. We used it in the previous company.
Yeah, I think they have free accounts, so you can do it for free. It will take maybe around a week to test your wireframe prototype. So it's cheap. It's free and it's very easy.
Yeah. Then the other thing that I was thinking, on your step 2, where you created that sheet, that table with
Jobs.
jobs with the feelings, sentiments, what they fear, what do they love, those are also really good. That could be your, and this is for everyone, not just for yourself, but it could be the content mixer, so that you actually start using some of those as topics for your articles, because you have someone with a job and they have a certain emotion towards something, and you can start mixing and creating content based on that research that you already done, right? And talk about those problems and how to solve those problems.
Yeah. And I can also give one example how you can use it more practically in the interface. For example, when someone is worried about something, for example, in my case, people are worried if they have invoiced all time or not. So it means that we need to make people sure that everything is fine. For example, you need to put some very clear, simple report which shows how much time is invoiced, how much time is not invoiced. You can put green marks because psychologically green marks means something is completed, something is safe, something is good. So you can use these emotions and feelings even for the interface to work with that.
Especially colors help you convey emotions really well. So that's a really good advice. So you built invoices for Jira mainly on your own. I know you mentioned that you had some help on the front end side, but everything, design, back end, everything, research, and to be honest, I'm lucky enough to have Nikki, which is brilliant as a co-founder. But I'm curious how you were able to do it. Tell us your secrets when it comes to being a solo founder, especially that in the early days, you basically, did you build the whole thing while you were a full-time employee, and then got the funding from Atlassian, and or did you already had the app launch when you got the funding from Atlassian?
Yeah. So the first couple of versions of the app was founded by myself. I spent money only for the front end because nowadays front end went went forward a lot. So I don't know these Angular tricky things. So I have two friends who are very good Angular developers. So I have hired them for this job. And yeah, so it was founded by myself, and the rest of the things I fully done by myself as well. And the secret is that the IT, the information technologies, was my passion during all my life, starting from school. So, and almost any aspect of the IT was interesting to me, and I had a lot of time to play with different technologies, with different fields and areas, starting from development and into design and animation. So that helped me. So I think my experience helped me to do it by myself. There is no some secret recipe, etc. So just a big amount of experience.
And what would be the number one advice that you would give to a new founder that basically doesn't have a co-founder and wants to go at it solo?
So if you actually, it's better to find a co-founder. If I would have some candidate who will satisfy me pretty much, I would go with co-founder, because if you do everything by yourself, especially in the beginning, you spend a lot of time. So the things go really slow, and so better to find a co-founder. If you don't have co-founder and you can do everything, most of the things by yourself, you need to focus only on the main things, and you need to focus even more on main things than working with co-founder, because you have much less resources. And probably it will be very helpful to be part of communities who can give you some feedback, because when you work with co-founder, two heads or three heads are always better than one. You if you so it helps you to go out of the box if you have co-founders. If you don't have, you can use communities that give feedbacks. For example, Y Combinator had course, and part of the course was weekly calls with random co-founders, and you pitched your startup to them, and they gave their feedback to me. So it really helped me to get opinion of other people, of other startuppers, other founders. So maybe you can try. They have closed these video calls now, but maybe there are similar things in the internet, or at least communities that give text feedback, something like that. So it also will really help you to get out of the box and think broader.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with that. I was actually expecting you to tell me that, because I know it is very hard to create something on your own.
Yeah.
And you would rather share that responsibility with someone else. Not just that, but also it's very easy as an individual, a single brain, to go on a tangent on something and go down a rabbit hole with an idea. If you have one or more co-founders and people to balance and you have their own opinion into it, it helps balance you out a bit.
Yeah, and the big trap here, I guess, is that you even don't realize that you are thinking inside the box, because when you do the product, everything seems fine to you. It works, people use it, but so it's very hard to see that there are different solutions by yourself. So that is very important.
Yeah, it is. I agree with that. And if you don't have a co-founder, and if you can't find a co-founder, like you mentioned, Anton, using communities. And I have another potential source. So I'm part of this. I joined as a mentor, part of this program called Dorm, where early founders, young founders coming out of school, coming out of university, and wanting to start their startup. Not just that, you can also be an older age like me and start a startup. And they pair basically mentors with mentee founders. So basically you can help a company, one or more founders, as a mentor for a period of time, 6 months, to get their startup at a certain level. So you guys agree from day one where you want to be in 6 months, what the more established, let's say, mentor can help with, and you work on that. They also have office hours, and I'm part of that. I'm part of the office hours. So I dedicate 30 minutes per week to whoever wants to book. I have my skills and what I think I'm good at listed in their service, and any young entrepreneur can come in and book 30 minutes with me to ask me anything around, pitch decks, to SaaS, to technologies, to things like that. Or even
Very, very nice. I have not heard about it. Maybe you can put the links under the description for the recorded video to these programs, to these programs, because I think it will be very helpful. Maybe I would like to participate even now in this program.
Yeah. So I'll put the link there. We'll put all of the links, including the stuff that we've kind of discussed, information about this LinkedIn tests, user tests, and such as well. So everything that we'll discuss, we'll put there. Yeah,
cool.
Good point. So you got funded through Atlassian Ventures, and I'm curious how that, because people have different experience about this. I have my own experience. I know maybe Lucas from Mythical has its own experience. How did that change your dynamics? And basically, did you hire more people? Did you manage to unload some of the effort that was on you and responsibilities that were on you to someone else? How did you evolve basically from the investment?
Yeah, so actually getting funding from Atlassian was a game changer for me, because finally I could switch to working on the product full time. If we speak about the team, I still have issues with building a team. So now I'm in the process of changing the backend developer. So it's still tricky for me. I would like to delegate a lot of my work to other people, but I need to find that people first. And for me, it's very hard to do, because I had no experience in that. I have only some ideas, and just trying to do this right now.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most critical things. And I was talking to another founder not long ago about this. In an early startup, it's a bit of an art to find good people that wouldn't cost you an arm and a leg. And I'm not just referring paying them a lot of money. I'm referring your time, because like if you hire in a rush and you hire the wrong people, you're going to invest a lot of your time in hand holding and getting them up to speed and guiding them all the time. And that can be a massive cost to the growth of your business, because all of a sudden, rather than focusing on pushing things forward, you're focused on hand holding. But in the same time, if you spend too much time searching and scouring the world for the right people, progression is slow, and you might be too slow with it. So it's a bit of an art of not falling into any of the extremes and finding a middle path and such. We can talk about this afterwards. I can potentially give you some of the things that worked for us in growing a team of 10 people. I can give you some advice. I'm also planning to make a startup corner video dedicated to this, on how do you get to that middle piece, because again, people is one of the biggest factors in making it or breaking it as a startup. Nikki actually asked a question, an interesting question. So she says, what was your daily routine while building your startup and working in the same time? Do you have some tips on how to manage your time working in the evenings or mornings?
So actually, it was a big issue for the life-work balance. I had no this balance at all. So most of the time, I was working until maybe 2 a.m. of the night, if I had some interesting task that grabbed all my attention and all my interest. So that was pretty hard and difficult, but that was a very interesting period of time, because you feel a lot of enthusiasm when you finally start building something by yourself, and that drives you to do it, to work, to find some interesting solution, to find some challenges. That also drives me. But I had no life work balance at all at that period.
Yeah, it's very hard, and I think and I think that that's also the lack of the co-founder, because we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I bet that if you had at least one co-founder, it would have been a tiny bit easier to balance that.
Mhm.
But it also depends on your character, right? Because you can have a
Mhm.
co-founder, but if you're so passionate and excited about it, you're still gonna have sleepless nights, right?
Yeah. I
Um,
agree.
yeah. So no, I tried as also. I used to have both Nikki and I used to have our routine. We used to wake up earlier in the morning, spend some time in early before going to work on doing some tasks that, for example, I was better at in the morning. I was better at administrative things in the morning, and then in the evening I would sit and code until bedtime.
Mhm.
But it was very hard not to go overboard and basically work until over midnight.
Yeah. But actually, when I start working on it full time, I also spend really a lot of time on it. I even think about the work on the weekend. I discuss my work with my wife. So because it's interesting, it's very interesting for me.
Yeah, that's what you think. You think, oh, I'm gonna be full time. Everything's gonna be so perfect. I'm gonna be working 8 hours per day, and that's it.
Yeah,
No.
but that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe when I will find people who can do the job by themselves, so maybe I could spend more time on getting rest and spending time with family, probably.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing for us. Like we used to have crazy sleepless nights still early on, even full time when we were just me, Nikki, and one, two other people. But now there's 10 of us. We have a great team that's covering support. We have a great team that's covering marketing, um, product. Nikki's doing a lot of that, and that means that from time to time I can take a Saturday and a Sunday off, or I can take a quick vacation, or I
Mhm.
can do things like this where I do this chat with you, and I'm not terrified that things are exploding in the background.
Yeah.
um, and speaking of that, I'm curious, how do you detach? Or is it 24/7? All right, do you have anything, any hobbies or any activities that you do that take your mind off of your business and the challenges and the
Mhm.
mathematical equations that you need to solve around your
Mhm.
business?
So traveling helps me to switch from work, because I like to travel and get new emotions from the new places with different cultures. And recently, I have started doing photography again, uh, uh, taking pictures of my wife and daughter. So it also helps me to switch from work to other things. But before that, I was working 24/7.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think traveling is a really good one, because you just don't have that much time to think when you're taking on other culture, experiencing, traveling, and so on.
Yeah.
Um, And I can say that photography as well, like being a fellow enthusiast of the motion picture and photography and such. I can say that now my part-time passion is just working with this, just having a perfect setup, optimizing my workflow in streaming and recording, and that kind of like take it's a bit of a meditation time of the week for me, when I just sit down and think about the camera, lights, positioning, and things like that.
Yeah. Same here. My wife is wondering. She's coming to my room, and she see more and more tripods every time. She's telling me, "You're crazy. Why do you need so many lights? Why do you need that soft boxes?" I tell, this I use for this I use for this, etc.
Yeah, tell me about it. Nikki hates me so much for doing all of this right now, and obsessing
But
about it.
yeah, but my wife likes to be photographed. So I tell, I will make a better picture of you with these tripods. She tells, "Oh, cool, I like it."
Yeah. No, that's really good. That's and I'm happy that we share this. We'll share more experiences, and I might ask you some questions about photography, because
Yeah.
I'm a novice in that sense. But now I kind of wanted to ask you a bit of a switch the gears a bit, because I'm curious, because I think this is something that everyone experiences, but this is something that we don't really talk about. And it kind of bothers me, because when someone starts their journey as an entrepreneur, they have this perfect vision of what building a business is, because everyone talks about successes, everyone talks about how they overcome this hurdle and such, but they don't really talk about moments where things haven't been that pleasant. And yes, you learned from it, but it wasn't a win, to put it like that, for yourself.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, what was your lowest point so far with Hello Clerk, when you kind of thought of you doubted yourself, or you didn't knew how to overcome that?
Mhm. I think I'm pretty lucky, and I still didn't have any low moments. I always have a lot of doubts. Did I reach the product market fit or not? Will people like it or not? How to do marketing, etc., etc. But I think these are just regular things that every entrepreneur faces with. So I think it's normal. And probably the lowest point probably is now, because I see that I move very slowly, and I am very not satisfied with that. I have issues with building a team, and now I think I need to find a way how to build a team, how to find
Mhm.
good people. So I think probably there, but I can't tell that this is a disaster or tragedy. So I
Yeah,
also
yeah.
think that this is a regular things that every startup or founder faces with. So it's a normal life.
Yeah. But that's what I mean, by low point, because we have these situations where you know stress is a bit higher, because you're thinking, well, I don't have enough people, I don't know how to get out of this. But I think it's important on how we evolve from this, and just not freezing and getting stuck with it and
Yeah.
trying things. And it does seem like you're trying quite a lot of things so far. So yeah, I think it's a normal, we've been through that as well. We didn't all of a sudden a team of 10 brilliant people dropped into our lap, and you're like, yay, we're awesome.
Yeah.
We had challenges with hiring.
And I think in these cases, what really helps is to talk to different people, which can give you some ideas, which can show you something that you don't see in your situation. So I think that really helps in these cases.
Oh yeah, 100%. So um we'll have a chat, let's have a chat about that as well. I don't know if I'll be able to help, but maybe I can give you some pointers about what we done, what worked for us.
Yeah, sure.
And we talked about low point and such, but what was the one big moment that gave you the biggest boost so far? Was it the investment from ventures, or what was a big win that gave you the biggest boost of confidence, to put it like that?
Yes, so I had two such moments. First, when I got news from Atlassian that they are investing in my product, and second was getting the text number for my US company from the American tax bureau, because it actually took me around half year to get that tax number, and without that tax number I can't open bank account and I can't get the funding. So between I got news that I'm funded and actually got this funding, there was around half a year, during which I just waited for the IRS. I
Oh,
have
wow.
called them many times. I was sitting and thinking, come on, work faster. Assign me just that 9 numbers. That's a very easy task. But it took 6 months for them.
Just put it in the database already.
Yeah, it's very easy. I can do it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll come over there and teach you how to do it.
Yeah.
No, that's really good. No, it's really rewarding. I remember we were the same thing. One, we experienced it with Resolution, and then when they invested in us, and then when Atlassian funded us, I don't know. It's just that feeling that, oh, maybe I do have something there, and I need to do my best and put my all in it, because other people believe in me as well. It's not just me that thinks that I have a brilliant idea. Other people see my and entities see my potential as well.
Potential, yeah.
So the other thing that I think a lot of people are interested in transitioning from working, let's say, part-time or as a side of desk type of project, to moving into full-time, being a CEO, being a founder. Do you have any skills that you developed while being full-time on your business that you feel, since I'm dealing with my business full-time, I'm better at this specific thing?
I don't think that I got some specific skill during this period, but I got one very important understanding. So most of the time I was thinking of entrepreneurship as mostly of hard skills. I read a lot of books about marketing, about maybe management, about the strategy, about such things. But recently I have realized that I think that entrepreneurship is mostly based on the soft skills. And all the time I never developed my soft skills. I never tried to understand what drives me, what are my strengths and weaknesses, how can I work with it. And I think that was a big mistake. So now I want to look at it more closer and start developing my soft skills, because what I see and what I see from other people, that really helps to be entrepreneur.
Yeah. I think you're completely right, and I think it's because having interpersonal skills is when you're growing a business, when you're CEO, founder, and you're growing a business and you're working with people. And I'm not just talking people just in your team, but partners, customers, and things like that. Having that skill of growing relationships is really important. I think Gary, do you follow Gary V? Do you know who Gary V is?
No, I don't know him.
So he's this very successful entrepreneur. He has a lot of he's built a lot of businesses. He invested in a lot of businesses as well. And he said this thing which kind of stuck with me, which was, if you want to get, you can get your business from 0 to 1 million just with your pure talent and skill as a product owner, as a technical person. But in order to get it from 1 million to 100 million, you need people, and you have to have the skill of growing people and nurturing relationships. And
Yeah, and actually, when I speak about soft skills, I also I'm not speaking only about the networking and such other things, but what I found for me very important thing is to understand how you make decisions. Why? What are your fears? What affects your decisions? How to make it better, more optimal? How to understand what drives you, how to understand why I stopped doing some things at very important time, etc. So it's also about everything: communication with people, understanding yourself, etc. Yeah,
Yeah, basically emotional intelligence,
emotional intelligence as well. Yeah, yeah,
and that applies to yourself, knowing yourself and
yeah,
understanding yourself, and being retrospective with yourself,
yeah,
and also with your team,
yeah,
especially the people that you're close to and work around.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's very important. So the Clerk Invoices app, it looks really good. I've mentioned this. Whenever I talk to people in the ecosystem, Clerk Invoices and Hello Clerk is one of the examples that I give us of good, well designed, and thought through application. But so it looks good. I'm curious, how is it to be, because it's a app on the Atlassian marketplace. For those that might watch this that have
Mhm.
no relationship to the Atlassian marketplace, and to the Atlassian ecosystem, how is it for you to be part of the ecosystem, and the part, and to sell on and have a SaaS business on the marketplace rather than a standalone?
Mhm.
How do you
Mhm.
feel about it?
I can compare Atlassian experience with Atlassian marketplace with Apple App Store, Microsoft marketplace, and Zero and QuickBooks marketplaces as well, because I also had experience with them a little bit. And what I see, how Atlassian is different, is that they are more responsive, more friendly, and you more feel like part of a family. Of course, every big system, every old system have a lot of legacy things, a lot of issues, and we also see that with Atlassian as well. But the general feeling is this, that it's more cozy to be here, and we have a pretty open community. There are not so many people. The community maybe is not so huge, but it's very open. It's very active. So I really like it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest benefits.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah, because I can give example with Zero. I can even can't join their forum if I not start to paying for the subscription for Zero accounting. So it's ridiculous. I tell, how can I ask questions? They tell, go to community. I tell, I can't. I don't have paid account. Okay, you don't have an option to ask questions in the community. That's all. It's
oh
not
wow.
friendly at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're changing that because so Zero is starting their marketplace,
Yeah.
and they're talking to. So I know that they had a call with Lucy, and someone else from Spotify, not Spotify, sorry, Shopify,
Shopify. Yeah.
Shopify Marketplace. I had a
Yeah.
discussion about marketplace partnership relations, and how to grow a marketplace basically. And I think they're learning. I think they're eventually open up a bit more. There was a marketplace that decided not to. Was it Shopify? I don't want to say anything wrong, but there's a
I
marketplace.
think Shopify takes some fee also to be part of their marketplace, even
Yeah,
if you just fixed fee or something like that. I think.
yeah, but there was a marketplace that decided not to take any fees until the vendor reaches 1 million in sales. I'm not sure which one. I seen it in the news. I don't know if it was
Mm-hmm.
Shopify or something else. But yeah, I think they're probably going to consider that as soon as they figure out that everyone is going into the other direction, which is charging less fees, because the
Yeah.
industry is expanding, and you have more of everything, more of consumers, more of producers. So it's very hard to have these high standards, because you're not attracting talent to build if you have these kind of fees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How's okay? So we're getting close to closure on the session. I'm curious where you see things evolving from here with your business. How do you envision Hello Clerk and let's say invoices for Jira, let's say next year? What would be your perfect use case? And you don't have to go into details, but I want to, you know, I'll let you finish that sentence.
Yeah. So ideally, I would like to launch maybe one or two additional apps, which will work in tandem with Clerk Invoices. So to build a small ecosystem inside ecosystem. Yeah.
Right.
So maybe one of them will be for the payrolls, for paying salaries to employees, and another idea is to make some financial analytics. So every app will use data from another app, and they will empower each other, and together will build a stronger value proposition. So that is my idea. I don't
That's
know how
brilliant.
far could I go with it during the next year, but hopefully I could do something from these ideas.
So basically, kind of cross selling or upselling, maybe more upselling, given that it's in the same product.
Cross selling, it's more about cross selling, and
Cross selling.
it's about making them better value proposition if you start using another app. So I actually don't like idea of a lot of different apps. It's also okay, but for me personally, I like then that everything is connected into one system. So that drives me better. Yeah, most.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think that's going to be, to be honest, my personal opinion is that that's going to be the next big thing in the Atlassian ecosystem, cross-selling. And I really hope that we'll be able to see some support from Atlassian in that sense to give us the ability to, to cross-sell. Because fundamentally, we don't build a bunch of, let's say, random applications and such. More often than not, the customers that we serve would benefit from this addition of applications. So I'm looking forward for the next period. I think it's going to be exciting. Thank you for joining me for this chat. It was great to get your thoughts on everything.
Yeah, thank you for the invite.
Any closing arguments, statements? Don't do it. Tell people not to become entrepreneurs or something.
No, I think actually it's very interesting and thrilling to be entrepreneur. And as any startup, you need to do everything quickly to find idea and to validate it as quick as possible. And by validating, I mean to try to find product market fit. If you could not find the product market fit, try switching to different idea. Don't waste time on that, on the current one. Yeah, so I think that's it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, and yeah, so we'll catch up. We'll continue our discussion offline on various topics. Anton, again, thank you for joining me on this pilot episode of the Startup Corner podcast. We're gonna do this every month, so I'm gonna have a guest every single month at the end of each month. I think next in line, I think it's we're gonna have a discussion with JXL. I think so. Don't listen to me. I'll just post things as we go. But if you want to follow this this podcast series and in general everything that we do subscribe to our YouTube channel Jigsaw Apps, and also do follow Anton. He's doing a lot of great things, and I'm pretty sure that you have things to learn from his growth and his experience. So yeah,
Thank you
so much, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everybody.